First of all, let's start off by talking on the current performance we saw, or the performance we saw coming through on the NIC 20 yesterday, falling back after the rally we saw last week.
Yeah, and it's in line with our views since the start of the year that there will be intermittent gains and losses in the market throughout the year without any room for a significant rally due to the global environment, as well as also the shaky local conditions. So going forward, it's always going to be a bit of gaining and a bit of losses. So I think the market was just reacting to that and profit-taking primarily based on last week's gains.
Let's talk on Kapchorua Tea out with a profit warning this morning. It expects that full-year profit to the end of March to fall by more than 25%. Your thoughts on Kapchorua Tea at this stage?
I think Kapchorua Tea, the main thing was unrealized loss on the valuation of biological assets, and that's primarily due to maybe some mutilation of the assets, as well as the fact that soft commodity prices, including tea and coffee, are dropping going forward. So of course the valuation of their assets will suffer from that. And the tea environment basically is still strong. Commodity prices have fallen, but not by a large margin. And we expect some tea counters to do well this year, primarily based on the rains. But in the tea sector, I think I'd look more at Williamson Tea and Limuru rather than Kapchorua.
Another company out with results today was Centum. Now that company, we had certain expectations. What were your expectations of the results? Your thoughts on the results coming through this morning?
I mean, with Centum, historically, the profits have been based on valuation movements. And given that during the year, which ends in March 2012, we had a period of very high interest rates and equity prices were falling. So across the board, that would have affected the valuation losses, and it reflects in the profit performance. However, it's good to see that they're making significant progress with their real estate development. And also there could be there's the UAP deal that has really significantly boosted their private equity value, and there could be some deals in the pipeline in the PE. So it's looking promising right now, given that it's selling at a 30% discount to its NAV, and it could be something to look at going forward, especially as the real estate project develops.
Looking at that full-year profit down 40%, you were at the results presentation earlier this morning. What did they say about growth going forward, their strategy on growth going forward?
Yeah, I mean, they started our strategy in 2009, and at the time assets under management was 6 billion, and by 5 years' time, that's 2014, assets under management were to be 30 billion. And what they've done so far is that they've achieved 15 billion, and there is still 15 billion to go. However, from my perspective, a lot of these gains have just been valuation gains on their land, and which is a good thing. However, we'd like to see more earnings. We'd like to see more earnings flowing into the company in the forms of real hard cash that can now drive more growth going forward. But so far, so good in terms of their growth projects.
Now looking at the currency, it's been doing quite well, sitting at about 84 at this stage. With the central bank continuing to come into the market, looks like their efforts are really working at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, the central bank has really done a good job so far. And if you look at where they came from, where the currency was at 107, and with the assistance of the IMF and other foreign lending, they've managed to contain the depreciation of the shilling while actually maintaining tight liquidity and somehow sustaining growth, because growth came in at 4.4% and it's projected to come at 5% this year. So they've done a really good job without so much of the assistance of the Treasury. However, going forward, we've seen the World Bank coming in and projecting the current account deficit at 15%. And from the recent budgets, we saw a fiscal deficit of around 6.7, actually it's almost 7.2%. So there could be some more pressures on the currency side going forward based on those two developments.
Talking about that current account deficit of 15% projected by the World Bank, you're saying that there will be some sort of pressure coming through on the currency. What levels could we perhaps see the currency getting to?
Well, it depends on a number of factors, particularly this year. Because remember, the currency is basically a function of how willing foreign nations are to fund your deficits. And if we see a worsening of the euro crisis, which is expected to happen because despite the Greek election, there's still the situation is still shaky and slow in growth. We could see the currency going back to the 90 level if things go badly in terms of the euro crisis and exports falling. But at least from a oil price perspective, you're seeing a slowdown in the oil price perspective, so that could offer support to the shilling. But if things go badly, we could see it trading at 90 by maybe the fourth quarter of this year.
Now looking at CIC Insurance, it was set to list on the Nairobi Stock Exchange on the 19th of July. Yep. They have suspended that, saying they haven't given a date at this stage. Your thoughts on CIC Insurance and the type of demand it could see when it lists?
I mean, CIC right now, we see it would be a good opportunity for investors, particularly retail investors, since it's coming only at 3 shillings and 50 cents. So it's a good opportunity for retail investors. The difference between CIC and a lot of other insurance on the bourse is that they've been showing steady profits and not a zigzag movement, and that's always a good sign. They're diversifying their portfolio into real estate, and we like the approach of real estate where they're offering affordable housing, and it's in line with their vision of empowering Kenyans. So I think it would be a good opportunity, and I would recommend a buy at 350.
Recommend a buy at 350. Looking at the market at this stage, down yesterday, what kind of performance can we expect to come through today?
It depends on what happens today with regards to whether people decide to come back with the value, but I wouldn't really be able to tell how it's performing given the erratic nature it has shown for the last 3 months or so.